Hey everyone, this is Mario with Wayback Wisdom. Thank you for tuning in today. And today I wanted to go over flint and steel technology. And to start with that, I'm going to break down my flint and steel kit, which is simply just going to be my striker, my charred material, and in this case the charred end of a cotton lamp wick, and an unfinished flint arrowhead. Now you can use chert or quartz for this. We have pretty much all of them here, so I usually just pick one up wherever I am. But any rock with a hardness of 7 or higher should do the job fairly well, as long as it has a sharp edge for you to strike your striker on, which is going to shave off microscopic particles of iron, which can bust with oxygen, creating a spark that ignites your charred material. And in the rest of this, I just have some fat wood and some braided jute that I use for bird's nests inside of my char tin, which I use to make char. In this case, with the cotton lamp wick, I actually just snuff out a flame on the end of the lamp wick, which chars the end of it. But generally, it's easier to make char in a tin. Now, this tin hasn't been used yet. I just got it the other day. I usually poke a hole in the top with either a nail or my sewing awl or just even a sharp rock. And it's usually pretty small, no more than 1/4 of the size of my pinky nail. And inside this tin, I'll put my charring material, whether that's cattail or punkwood or cotton, and we'll go over that here in a moment. But I put this on the edge of my fire when I actually do create a fire, so I can affect my next fire easier and make sure I still have the materials needed to continue to make fire as I go. And you're gonna see that type of forward thinking and progress. What would be the best word? Progressive thought, I think, would be the best word for it. In a variety of aspects of the outdoors. Basically, whenever you do something, you want to make the next time you do that easier. And you're going to see that a lot with flint and steel. We're going to go over how to actually char. All right, so I zoomed in, hopefully close enough you all can see this. And now I'm going to take my striking rock and I'm going to find a nice hard edge here, put my piece of char material, in this case my lamp wick, here on the edge, and I'm going to strike down with my striker, shaving metal off that's going to spark up here into my char material. And I'll fluff that up just a little bit. There we go. Now let's just sit that down here and let it get ready. Put those somewhere where they're not going to get wet. Now I have a little extra charred material here in my tinder bundle just for ease of use. And now that I have that going, I'm going to put out my lamp wick, re-charring it for the next time that I need it. And I'll blow this tinder bundle into flame and we'll get our fire going, and then we'll get ready to make some more charred material. Now to get on to our charable materials. I have 3 that we're going to see here. While there's a variety of things you can char, we see 3 most commonly throughout history, as well as most commonly in our environment. First is going to be cattail, and if you recognize this, even if you're not familiar with the plant, you've probably seen it driving along the road and things like that. Grows in marshes, swampy areas, and what you're going to want is this fluffy head right here. And now you can break this up and use it in a tinder bundle and things like that. It's going to make a flash type tinder. Not really the best in my opinion, but it can be part of a bigger bird's nest and be good, but I think it makes charred material better than it makes tinder. Simple cotton cloth, linen, hemp cloth will work too, just a cloth of natural material. You don't want anything with like a plastic base or anything like that. But char cloth, the most commonly used term, comes from charring cotton cloth. And then you're going to see punkwood as well. And I'm sorry if I keep scratching my face. We're finally getting into spring here in the Midwest, and the bugs are just everywhere. And I'm hoping this fire actually drives some of them away. And lastly, we have punkwood here, which is basically just rotten wood. You can use any type of spongy wood material. The inside pith of certain plants, like mullein stalk, will work. This is out of a downed elm that I just found in the woods. And you can see here, I mean, you just grab a handful and you got quite a few pieces you could char. So those are going to be our charable materials. Now, let's talk about how to actually char them. Our most efficient way is going to be, I still got some punkwood in this tin actually, is a char tin. It's basically just a metal tin with a lid that locks, or locks down fairly tight, with a hole punched in it so it can actually get rid of the gases that it's going to create from charring without being a big enough hole to give air or oxygen to our material to actually combust. I usually just punch it through with the end of my awl. Obviously you could use your knife or a stick or a rock or something, but I guess my main way of doing it would be, it's about the fourth of a size of my pinky nail. So again, not very big, just a small punch, kind of like the tip end of a medium-sized nail. And you would put your material in here. So say you were charring your punkwood, and you would close this and you would put it in the coals of your fire and let it sit, and you're going to see the gas escaping. You let it sit usually for about 30-45 minutes is my unofficial timer for it. And you're going to have your char material. You would do the same thing with cloth, and you do the same thing with cattail. The process is no different. Now, say you didn't have a tin, what else could you do? Well, you can actually light the end of a piece of cloth on fire and snuff it out with your hands or with a stick or a rock or something like that. And that's going to char. That's how I char my lamp wick that you just saw me use. You can do the same thing with punkwood and cattail, however, it's not as easy. So with these, what I like to do is I'll actually bury them under a very fine layer of soil underneath my fire and keep it at a coal-like consistency. And that will do the same thing. It's more likely that you'll accidentally burn it, but it does work, and it does work fairly effectively if you don't have a tin. So now we're gonna get these on the fire here, and we can watch this process from start to finish. Stay with me. All right, so now that we got our fire basically down the coals here, except for a few flames, which isn't a big deal. We can just move those around and kind of create ourselves a little bit of a platform. And we have our cattail, our punkwood, and our cloth all in this charring tin here, because I want to do a little experiment and see which is the easiest to light, as well as which lasts the longest after that. And we're going to put that right here. We'll move some of these sticks farther here in the back, so that way we don't risk our tin getting engulfed in flames. Make sure our lid's pressed down all the way. We're going to leave this for about 45 minutes, and then we'll take another look. All right, so we just pulled our charred material off the fire, and this is going to be our piece of cotton cloth we had. Put this out of the way so you guys can see it better. This is our piece of cattail, and then we have a variety of pieces of punkwood inside the tin here. So I think what would be nice is to try a little bit of an experiment. We'll take these two out and we'll try our punkwood first. It's just to strike down into this tin and see how well it takes a spark, as well as how long it burns. And for that, I'm just going to I'll use my piece of shirt here. All right, so we got a flame or a ember already. let's try to strike down a few more times and see how many we can actually start. All right, so far we got 2 that have ignited. First impressions, they're burning up pretty quick, burning hot. I think these would make pretty good additions to a tinder bundle. They're very hot. They're almost basically like an entire coal. And I think they would pretty easily light another piece if we had to. Let's try. I won't even blow. I'll just put them together. All right, no luck there. Oh, there we go. Didn't blow. Ignited another piece fairly easily. Seemed to be holding a decent coal here at the end. And this is our charred punk wood, so it looks like that's going to be a good option for us. Now I'm going to put these out and we'll try our charred cattail. So we'll just snuff these out, and luckily I made enough here that I'm not super worried about using this later on, because I made quite a bit, and this is again more for demonstration purposes than anything else. So we'll switch. We'll put our cattail in here, and we'll try 2 different kinds. We're gonna leave, try to demonstrate that better. We'll leave one as a coal, and the second one will break up. And let's see which goes easier. All right, we already have a coal on our broken up piece. As you can see that there. And that's traveling fairly quickly, it looks like. Let's see how, we'll let that burn for a moment. Let's try our big piece and let's see if we can get it to ignite with just a spark. It's rolling quite a bit. Let's try to stabilize it with a rock. And again, this isn't how you would normally do it. This is more for demonstration purposes than anything else. All right, we're hitting this pretty directly with sparks. All right, it looks like a few took, but did not really seem to dig into the cattail very well. It appears to just be igniting the outside. So I would say breaking the cattail up is really the best way to do it, because you can see here, you got a pretty big coal out of this. And this took a little bit easier than the punk wood, but I'm gonna guess that because it's so thin, it's not gonna burn as long. However, I think this would make a very good addition as well. And it's fairly readily available as long as you're near water or a marsh or a drainage or anything like that. So we're gonna put that out for now. And again, it's a little harder to put out than the punk wood was. And this we actually can save, because grinding it up is only gonna make, this is hard to put out. I would say that's definitely a positive. This is not going out very easily, not nearly as easily as the punk wood did. So that's a good thing to keep in mind in the future. All right, last but not least, we're gonna do our piece of char cloth here. Now this is quite a bit more fragile than our punk wood and our cattail. Let's see how easily it takes sparks. All right, if you were hitting it, I'm not really seeing much. Looks like one just took. All right, there's 2. I'll pull these pieces apart. I'll snuff this one out. That way we save some for later. Let's see how easily that spreads. Slowly but consistently. I would say this is something I wouldn't use as much as I would use the punk wood or the cattail, simply because it's pretty flimsy. However, it does burn hot. And now that that coal's growing, we're getting a pretty decent sized one. I would say the cattail or the punkwood are both a little bit better at forming a consistent coal, but this is definitely hot as well. So this would take to dry or fairly well fluffed tinder pretty easily, in my opinion. So we'll just snuff that out. All right, well, thank you guys for sticking with me today with just basically a whole one-on-one on flint and steel technology, charring material, how that whole process works, as well as creating more for the future. If you guys are interested in the outdoors, hunting, fishing, trapping, anything in nature really, I'd appreciate it if you checked out my other videos, comment some videos you would like to see in the future, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.